HBCU family. It's Kyle T. Mosley of HBCU Legends on Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation. And I'm surrounded by greatness today. We have the commissioners from 3 out of the 4 of the HBCU, major HBCU sports families. And we have Commissioner Holloman. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Kyle. Thank you for having us.
Great, great. As well as my friend, Commissioner Sonia Steels. How you doing?
I'm great, Kyle. How about you?
And my compadre and partner in crime always, Commissioner Jackie McWilliams. How you doing?
I'm awesome. Good to see you. And
All
my
right.
colleagues, once again, we've been spending a lot of time together, so it's been great.
Yeah. And unfortunately today, Dr. Charles McClellan from the SWAC would not be able to participate in this call. But guys, let's talk about what's happening, especially up on Congress. I believe it was back in September, you guys put together a letter that you posed and sent over to Congress concerning some of the situations that would affect the HBCU sports conferences regarding NILs, correct? And I wanted to just get your opinion on what's the status of everything going forward and where are we as far as what's happening and how this will impact the HBCU conferences. Starting with you, Commissioner Holloman.
So the letter was done to give us a voice. We represent over 50 institutions, 15,000 student athletes at Division I and Division II levels. So it was important for us to weigh in because we understand and we support NIL, but we don't support any legislation or law that would adversely impact our institutions. And so we have worked together over this last year to have a collective voice. And the letter that we penned got people's attention.
Yes.
And so we went to Washington this week. We had the opportunity to meet with several senators, people in the House, and we had a visit to the White House. And I think the thing that we did was convey the message that our institutions are not only institutions where we play sports, but we graduate people who make up the Black middle class. And our institutions have always had a relevant role. And that's the message that we wanted to send. I think, we had a really good day on the Hill. And, Jackie has been the chair of our group. Charles is the chair of the NCAA Men's Basketball Committee. And so he had, great insight on the process. And I think the legislators had to take notice that we have, the facts, we understand the landscape, and we understand that this needs to be a bipartisan legislation that, we move forward with.
Okay, so let's kind of segue over to you, Commissioner McWilliams, because Commissioner Holloman said you are the chair of the group and when it comes to this, and I saw how he had that assist there, right?
They do a good job.
You guys are great, man. But anyway, when we talk about the NILs, and Commissioner Holloman said, hey, you guys had a great time. You went to the White House as well. What were some of the particulars from the White House that came back to you guys in a positive note that they understand and they are responding to the needs of HBCUs?
Yeah, I think, again, the time that we got to spend with individuals on the Hill that are important, like, Commissioner Holloman said, to hear our voice, to make sure what our concerns are around any legislation that would impact our institutions, and to start creating those relationships. I think it's beyond just the name, image, and likeness conversation for us. I think it was the opportunity to make sure that they knew who we were the advocacy that we have with college athletics, but also the higher education and academics on our campuses, as most of them are working with our presidents at our universities and tag teaming, as a strength of leadership from the academic presidential side to the commissioner sides that are trying to protect the interests of our students and student athletes across HBCUs. And so to have those conversations with the individuals that we had, what our concerns were, not like Commissioner Holloman says, like, we support student athletes getting NIL and getting some form of payment, whatever that is, but we don't want it to adversely affect what our capabilities are to do at our institutions and what we're able to manage in that legislation, national legislation, or whatever those expectations that would impact how we're able to provide at our HBCUs for our student athletes. And so those are the conversations that we had with legislators and with leaders on the Hill. It was exciting to leave there and know, one, that we were heard, that those conversations that we had there and the letters that we had written are being circulated. And there's an interest to make sure there's an understanding from their end where our stance is face to face, not just letter writing and sending that, because that's important. But that really helped us, again, get in the rooms and have conversations so that they knew who we were and the importance of having their support and what we could do to support them on any legislation that would help us navigate and move through this space of college athletics. Kyle, it's changing. The landscape is changing, and whatever that change is, we want to be able to be prepared to manage that change, but manage it in a way that it doesn't impact how we're able to serve our member institutions at our HBCUs.
That's excellent to hear that they are listening and they have been paying attention. But Dr. Steels, you have a lot of pessimists out there in this world, right? And let's just be honest. A lot of these young people who are student athletes, as well as the fans, want to know if Congress will wholeheartedly supporting your message and make some of those tweaks within the legislations. What are they telling you guys on that standpoint, Commissioner Steels?
I was getting ready to say, because you gave me an honorary doctorate, and I appreciate that.
Well, look, you deserve it. You deserve it.
I appreciate it. It was very positive. I think by the time we left our last meeting, it was, we feel like we've been heard, and we feel like that we will have that voice in the room. So as legislation or the bills are being crafted and recrafted, that they have HBCUs in mind, that they clearly have indicated that nothing will go forward without our input and our feedback. We know that what we put together, or us being there and being heard, nobody can tell our story but us. And we want to make sure that the 1% that really all of this is aimed towards, the unintended consequences, and they understand that. That was very, very important. And for us to be there in person, to show how important this is to us. Everything has moved previous to that without us. And so now being proactive and being more aggressive in ensuring that our voices are heard was extremely important for us.
Well, that's great. Dr. Holloman, the importance of having these young people represented on Congress and what you guys are doing is pretty groundbreaking, so to speak. I know back in the late 70s and early 80s, Eddie Robinson and a couple of the SWAC guys went up to Congress to talk on the behalf of some of the changes in television packaging and how that was going to affect HBCUs at this time. Do you kind of see that kind of a similar parallel to this day and age of what's going on, and why it's important that you guys have a voice in Congress, or having the White House to recognize what you guys are trying to do for these student athletes?
No, it has a great significance. And it's not lost on us the responsibility we have as commissioners for our respective conferences. But the one thing I think we all understand is that our voices, when we are working in tandem, carry, much greater weight. When we went to the White House, we were able to meet with the senior advisor to the president and several of his staff members, and we were able to share how that we would be adversely impacted. And so we've already gotten some follow-up from the White House that, they want to include us in the conversations. We met with Senator Cory Booker and Senator Blumenthal, who have crafted a bill, and they've made some modifications based on the letters that, we sent out. We met with Senator Cantwell, who is on the Commerce Committee. And so there are several angles that are at work. And we got to, sit down with all of these people. But more importantly, aside from talking about athletics, we were talking about the adverse impact that some of these proposals could have on our institutions. And that was, at the forefront, because we are educational institutions. And if we lose the ability to field sports teams, it could adversely impact gender equity. It could adversely impact enrollment, because if you don't offer certain sports, then you're going to have population problems. And if you're a public school, the state funding could be impacted, because if you don't have a certain amount of students, then you lose funding. So, we made clear, what our agenda was, and that we are unapologetic in advocating for our institutions. And so I always feel empowered when I'm with my colleagues. And so, Kyle, we were walking the halls of Congress, and we ran into the Power Four. And
yeah,
so
well,
they were doing.
That's what I was about to say. You guys got to have a name, Power Four. That sounds good.
Well, so now we're
We
for
have a
power.
name.
We're for power.
We're
but
for Power Four.
I was referring to the ACC, the SEC, the Big Ten.
Okay.
Their commissioners were walking the halls, and
Really?
so that reaffirmed that we have to be heard, because everybody else is trying to advocate for what they believe in.
Yeah. Well, and it is important, man, because when you talk to the fans, as well as some people in the media, of course, we feel as though when it comes to making legislations, we are not invited to the table, right? And being that you guys are the 4 top commissioners in HBCU sportsdom, as I would like to say, is that it's critical to have that voice and have that voice heard, and to have them to be responded to. Commissioner Stills, just as a layperson, explain to the people how some of the legislations would negatively impact the institutions themselves that came from what Dr. Holloman was just speaking about. Just break it down to them like a 4-year-old.
Oh Lord, that's 4-year-old. Okay. So basically, if we deem if the student athletes were deemed as employees, we know that about 80% of our students
employees of their institutions.
Of their institutions. Okay. We know that 80% of our students who attend HBCUs are on some type of financial aid, federal grant, etc. So if they are employee, they will have to pay taxes on that. Okay. So if they're already on some type of aid, then they're going to have to get a loan to pay those taxes on the salary that they're getting now. Okay. And then the institution has to find money to pay the taxes on, for those student athletes as well. When you look at when our institutions are already underfunded, So having to pay student athletes, the taxes on top of that, we're going to start to have to eliminate, institutions will have to eliminate sports. And we know that the elimination of sports is going to happen on the Olympic side first. And then ultimately, we're not going to be able to afford that, period. We're going to have to eliminate sports altogether. It's a trickle down effect, because if we eliminate sports, like Commissioner Holloman says, then the trickle down effect is the enrollment. Because people want to come and see athletics. People are attracted to the university through athletics. Athletics gives the institution or fans and potential students a look into the university, the programming that we have. So if enrollment goes down, the trickle effect is funding goes down to those institutions. It impacts the community itself, because a lot of our institutions are within the inner city, in those underserved communities. And so the jobs that surrounds athletics, those will be gone. So we want, what our messaging is to understand that the bills are trying to get at this 1%. The 99% of us can't afford this.
Gotcha.
They will be fine, because we know that less than 30 institutions actually operate in the black. The rest of us do not. And so we need to make sure that we're going to be protected, ensure that we are going to continue the mission of educating the underserved community. And we need to be able to do that. And athletics is that vehicle.
Okay. All right. That's very clear. So, Commissioner McWilliams, when we talk about what's going to happen, have they given you guys a timetable when some of these important legislations will actually go into effect?
Kyle, this is what we know. There's so much going on in the world, in Congress, legislation, nationally, and we jokingly said, we're up here talking on the Hill about name, image, and likeness. And there are things that are happening in other countries that are on the conversation in the news every single day. Where do we fit in that? Our conversation with Booker and Blumenthal was good. We asked them, even their thought about a timeline if any new proposals of legislation came up. They're about to go out of session for the holidays.
Right.
The session's going to come back in January. I mean, if we were lucky that anything got on the table, maybe mid-spring, later spring, there has to be bipartisan. There's several bills out there, and not all the bills meet our needs. And I think we've been clear about what one bill might work, not endorsing any bill, but understanding what advantages and disadvantages that the bills that are closest to where we're trying to get to would make sense. It sounds like there may be another bill that might come up that is closer to ensuring that there are protections, but I don't know when that could happen. None of us are really clear. If we're lucky early spring that there's something that comes out, then we'll be in a good movement and momentum coming off this meeting. I mean, we're about to head into a voting year. I mean, that's going to have impact on how fast, quickly, or how things are going to move in the pipeline as well. I think the best thing that we can do is stay connected to the individuals that we met with and continue to have conversations with those that we haven't, that would like to speak to us or we like to speak to make sure that we don't get lost in the conversation. There has been commitments that if there are new bills and opportunities, that they would make sure that we were involved or had the opportunity to have conversations along the way, as they are building legislation and potential new proposals or shaping the proposals that are currently out there. So, I do believe that we came out with at least acknowledgement that we are an important piece to the puzzle, and that we would not be left out of the pieces as they are trying to put it together and present something. Should there be national legislation? I think that's the conversation. Should we be legislated by national? As members of the national office or NCAA, we're part of that legislation and the association that helps makes rules and regulations for the thousands of student athletes to play. I think that we should be responsible in managing those expectations. But at the end of the day, because states are so far ahead of us, on managing what they believe is fair for our students. National legislation is going to probably help with the name, image, and likeness protection for our student athletes, and then making sure that, again, they can get the most out of that experience while being a college student athlete. And so I'm hoping those things, stay at the forefront. The impact of making students employees like you would do, making us employees on campuses would be really detrimental, as Commissioner Still says. And if it does happen, we have to look at athletics on our campuses very differently. Does it mean it absolutely goes away? No, it just means that it will look very differently than it looks like as we are members of the National Association, the NCAA, and as we are as conferences. So there will be some challenges if there's passing. And I don't think it's going to happen. I think there's an understanding that making our student athletes employees is going to be problematic, not just to us, but to the college athletics landscape. I do believe that there is a way that students could benefit off of revenue share and opportunity. And it may be different from conference. And like Sonia Still said, like Commissioner Still says, we have conferences in that Power Four that may have those capabilities, but the rest of us, we really just want to provide these student athletes the best experience and opportunities to compete in college athletics and get a degree at our institutions and graduate.
Right. That's the most important thing. We keep forgetting when we talk about college sports, the student athletes are the most important factor and element in everything that we do and we report on and talk about and you guys govern. So that's very, very important. Dr. Holloman, I have to ask this of you as well as Commissioner McWilliams. We're going into the postseason. And as part of the postseason, this is the inaugural Florida Beach Bowl. And it's going to happen on the Wednesday before the Celebration Bowl, right? And I know you guys were nice and pleasant on the conference call before. I know Commissioner, she did throw some shade to the SIAC, and I'm SIAC alum, man. So, Doc, come on, we got to be able to say something back, right? What's going to happen?
So I'm sure that prior to the game, Commissioner McWilliams and I will sit down and we'll figure out what we're going to wager.
All right. All right. That's not what's talking.
Somebody has to have the bragging rights, right?
That's right. That's right.
And so, I'm claiming it that, we're a football conference.
Uh-oh.
And so, but I'm excited though for the opportunity because as you mentioned, the Celebration Bowl is coming up. Yes. And Jackie and I have talked about what we could do to elevate our institutions and give them an opportunity at postseason play and also settle it on the field. That's CIAA and the SIAC. And this is a great opportunity for us. We're going to Fort Lauderdale, so I'm anticipating nice weather and a great crowd and support from fans of our conference.
You just lost me, Doc. You're being too pleasant again.
Well, but see, this is the thing, right?
Come on, man. We got it.
It's 2 weeks before the game. I don't want to let it all out.
All right.
I try to make sure that I'm keep it 100 until we touch down in Florida.
All right.
That's when you have to take sides.
You being a gentleman. All right. I see.
I go to my hotel.
I'm not mad at you, Doc. All right. We're cool.
We done already beat them
I'm on your side. We like here. We're right here, right? Nah,
it's fun.
Commissioner McWilliams, I'm going to get to you, Commissioner Seals, but Commissioner McWilliams, come on, you got to respond, right?
Look, we're competitors. All I know is that their coaches and him came from the CIAA. So I mean,
you heard that,
and him. And he went to the school that's competing in his conference, and he's saying they're a football conference. Okay, we played in the CIAA. So the camaraderie is fun. This is a long time coming for us, not having the Pioneer Bowl. And we've had the opportunity for our conference to play in Canton, Ohio, in the Legacy Bowl, the Black College Legacy. So that it's just been fun that we've been able to provide these extra opportunities and access for our student athletes and the exposure for our student athletes. I will be candid to say that there is an opportunity historically for us to tell our stories in a state that, you know, that has had some challenges about history and about
Yes.
storytelling and
Yeah.
where we lay. And so I don't want that to be, you know, a silent, we're not addressing that, because we are addressing it. And I think this gives us an opportunity for our young people who are from the state of Florida. I think Johnson C. Smith has 15 to 20 athletes that are from Florida. I mean, what an opportunity
23,
for
if I'm
them.
not mistaken.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I couldn't remember that number, but it was significant for them to be able to go play in a state and represent their institution and to represent HBCUs and to be the first college to play in a college football game for HBCUs. Like there's a lot to be told and unpack, but I'm telling you, I'm looking for Smith to go down there and have a good season. They have come around, and I'm trusting Coach Flowers is going to have his A game and ready to play. So the end of the game, we'll know. We can trash call us then, and then we can tell you a little bit more about the trash talking.
So Kyle.
Okay. Come on, Doc. Yeah, I want to
With
hear.
that, you know, Coach Flowers worked at Fort Valley and left to go to Johnson C. Smith. So
Thank
I'm
God.
sure Fort Valley got something for him.
Now he coming with it. He coming with the smoke, Doc. Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about, Doc. Yes.
Yeah, so you know it.
It's fun. It is,
Yeah.
it is, it's a blessing that we have been given the privilege to trash talk, but to really celebrate and to do it right before the celebration bowl, which I think has been fantastic for the HBCU community, not just about football, but Commissioner Stills and McClellan have done a great job ensuring that that partnership really is inclusive of all of us. I mean, we'll have NCAA represented. I think the president from the NCAA, their diversity and equity inclusion staff will be there. I mean,
Good.
it's a telltale of why that event is so important. And then for us to do this for the first year, it helps just us celebrating what we know and what we love about being a part of HBCUs. That's why this week was important, because we don't want that to go away. And we want to be able to provide those experiences. And we're concerned that if it's not done in the right way, it would limit these opportunities for our student athletes and for us to help manage that.
Okay. And that was nice and very well politically said.
We're gonna win.
Thank you. All right, that's what I want to hear. All right, Doc. You know, she put you out there, man. But you know, I'm SIAC. I got your back. I'll chat with her later on that. Okay.
Go Smith. I mean, come on now.
Morehouse Tigers. That's all I have to say. Commissioner Stills, Dr.
Yes.
McClellan is not here, of course. You know, this is your field to really just let them have it. You know, you guys are the reigning HBCU national champions. You didn't do so well in the MAC SWAT challenge, though. You know, so I just want to say the MEAC kind of fell off there. But
we like to share the love.
Oh, finally.
Yeah.
Finally sharing the love.
We can't be just taking it all. You know, you got to share with my brothers and my sisters. So.
All right. Well, we don't know who the SWAC representative will be at this time because these guys are playing the SWAC championship game. Prairie View is already in Tallahassee to be able to play Florida A&M. Florida A&M was once a MEAC school, so you never know. That blood may be in Atlanta. Well, commissioners, thank you very much for your time. Keep doing what you need to do. Maybe we need to have a march on Washington to be able to address these type of issues as well. Whatever we could do here from Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation side, especially with me, HBCU Legends, I will be there to support you guys every which way we can. I'm Kyle T. Mosley of HBCU Legends. That's Dr. Anthony Holloman, Commissioner Sonia Stills, and Commissioner Jackie McWilliams. They are representing, and in absence, Dr. McClellan. We know you're here in spirit, my friend. So let's take it all in. But on a serious note, the NILs are going to have a impact one way, shape, or form. Hopefully, it's not going to be a negative impact on the HBCU institutions going forward. And hopefully, you guys have done your part and will continue to do your part to be able to support the student athletes as well as your member institutions.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Kyle T. Mosley, HBCU Legends on Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation with Dr. Holloman from the SIAC. I keep on saying Commissioner, we're going to have to give you an honorary doctorate.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sonia Steels from the MEAC, as well as Commissioner Jackie McWilliams from the CIAA. Thank you. Take care.